My name is David Guedalia. I'm the CTO at Lusha. Prior to that, I was at Mobileye and at Qualcomm and at a company called Blue Dot. In general, I'm really interested in how data tells its own story, and my doctoral thesis was about self-organizing data. So yeah, innovation is a very fun topic. It has different aspects to it. There's the innovation part, which is about adoption, but prior to that, there's creation, the novelty aspect. There's a whole book Peter Denning has on this question of what is innovation. At Lusha, we innovate by keeping multiple disciplines in parallel and then working on communication. It's really about focusing on having the ability to have teams describe ideas to each other and then having those ideas develop into new ideas. You can only do that if you have different people looking at the same thing from different perspectives and then meeting together and being able to communicate. So data is at the root. Everything's about what we observe and how we look at it. But then the question becomes, how do we organize that data and how do we describe it? And that's where the innovation really occurs. Right, so you can't try too hard. If you try too hard at anything, what happens is you go towards your target. So how does a company create a strategy? The thing not to do is to actually say, I'm trying to create a strategy to solve this problem. Instead, you really have to focus on building out methodologies that contribute towards your ultimate goal. And the core methodologies are pretty much always the same. It's always about creating good communication channels, developing languages, and having those things develop as they go along. So not too much top-down, but yes, guidance, a lot of bottom-up, a lot of thinking goes into how to present things to each other, and really focusing on descriptive languages, which we'll probably dive into how that really helps. One of the things to really do is to let the data talk for itself. So we try not to choose those topics, try and have those topics emerge. So we gather a lot of data, we gather a lot of analytics, and then we let the data we look at the data. It's about letting the data tell us what we think we should be looking at. So developing good visualization tools and tools that help us look at the data is the first step. Then we have to talk about what we found, kind of describe it, finally kind of do the market match. Does it actually fit into what we're trying to do as a company? We have a mission statement. Is it contributing to that mission? But everything really starts from letting the data do the talking. Okay, challenges to innovation. The first challenge to innovation is trying to be good. If you try and be too good at what you do, you end up locking yourself into a set of metrics of what is good, what is not good. So being very focused on maximizing your potential, having a loss function that you're trying to minimize, creating KPIs and sticking to them, all those things constrain innovation. The other thing that happens to constrain innovation, which is a little bit of a paradox, is not having any boundaries. Oh, we can do anything we want. And once you can do anything you want, I have an unlimited budget, you try and solve things that are not necessarily need to be solved. So creating artificial constraints is actually a methodology to force innovation. When I'm limited in what tools I have to come up with new tools. So balancing between creating these artificial constraints and yet enabling people the freedom to do the work is where you have to have that balance to create innovation. The CTO at Lusha, what is our vision? What is our mission? Creating a coherent strategy around data for the entire company. So it's a little bit misleading. Sometimes people feel like CTOs should be pigeonholed into technology. What are they doing talking to the marketing people? But if you think of how data impacts an entire organization, at Lusha, we're trying to create a coherent strategy across everything. Our databases are organized in ways that will then leverage that data and the AI around it to help the marketing team, which will help the sales team, which will feed back into the data team. And we have multiple types of projects going on in the back end. How do all the databases communicate? How do that all of that needs to have a coherent strategy. So the CTO office mission is to create a coherent strategy around the data in Lusha. The CTO office works on driving its strategy and its vision by helping teams grow within themselves. And we talked about innovation and how innovation requires communication between teams. Part of our vision is that the CTO office enables teams to communicate better. We do that by building a language that can be connected to that coherent strategy I was talking about. So we take the coherent strategy, we leverage it across teams, and then we enable communications. So as a CTO, we can't tell people what to do, but we can inspire them. And that's our goal, to help mentor them and enable them to grow and then to inspire them to communicate with other teams and as such, create innovation. There was a shift that happened in the B2B data and in our market in general. We went from search, which if you think about it, it really should never have been there, but people were looking for something and we gave them what they were looking for. That was kind of useful, but that was behind the curve. That's assuming that the people know what they're looking for and that what we retrieve is valuable to them right now because they're looking for it. The next step beyond that is to understand what's behind the search. Why are people actually searching for these things? But beyond that is when we come around and we recommend searches to the individual. So it's not enough to be able to retrieve, I'm looking for something under the spotlight. Oh, I can find it because the light's shining on it. That's what the old generation was. The new B2B is much about trying to understand why were you looking for that thing anyway to begin with. And the next generation B2B is all about matchmaking and trying to get ahead of that curve and saying, let me give you ideas of what you should be even looking for. Why would you even be in this? So AI is a fun topic. It's dynamic, exciting, lots of things are happening, yet at the same time it's very static, very few things are happening. So if you think about AI, there's one aspect of AI which is around how to translate a human question to a machine language question. Everyone seems to have that down pat. You have chatbots everywhere, and that's really what the whole revolution of LLMs was getting a computer to talk human speak. At Lusha, our AI is way beyond that. We're like trying to think about what's behind the questions. Why are you asking these questions? And in addition, we have a whole nother type of AI going on in parallel in the back end, where we're organizing the data in a way that leverages new AI techniques that we're developing proprietary in-house. So we have the data, we have the ability to translate like everyone else through magical LLMs, but beyond that, we also have the AI that we've developed that helps us understand behind the data and behind the user what they're thinking about. This enables us to offer things like recommendation engines and lists that don't exist today. So you're sitting there, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm looking for A. Yes, search can return A. But we're going to go ahead 3 generations and provide B, C, and D. And you know what? There's a whole other industry you weren't even thinking about, and they really are appropriate to you because we've understood the relationship between all the data, leveraging our deep AI. Lusha is an AI company because it's a data company. And when you take data, you need to understand what the data is saying. So there are different types of data being aggregated within Lusha. We take data from all sorts of sources that we have, some proprietary, some not, and then we organize that data. We invest a lot of energy into organizing that data. Within that organization, we then leverage proprietary AI technology to have the patterns emerge. In parallel, you have the user who comes in and they want to search that data and they want to analyze it. And they don't want to just search the data, they want to learn from that data. It's not enough to say, I know what I'm looking for, I'm going to find it however I'm going to find it. They need to be able to expand their own thinking process around that data. So when a user comes and they search, we have new powerful tools, a flex search, for example, that enables the user to just broaden their searches out in natural English. They can write whatever they want. And then using the energy that we had invested in our data aggregations and in our storage, then we can try and describe how the user's search can find relevant information. Now, it's not just finding what the user wanted, it's the intents behind that. Why is the user searching for this? I search for Intel because I'm looking for a chip company, or because I want to go to Santa Clara and visit their shop, or because I just like computers. Trying to understand what's behind the search, the intention of the users, that's a very powerful tool that lets the users then open their mind and enter our AI space. So search is an old school kind of a thing. In search, you think, I'm looking under the lamppost for what I'm looking for because that's where the light's shining. So when you go to search, you type a search term and you expect to find an answer to the question you're asking. It's a very difficult problem because most of the time you don't know how to formulate the question well. What AI is doing for Lusha and helping its users perform search better is a flex search. The flexibility a user now has to type what's on their mind, they can kind of more randomly search the space. It enables them to random walk a much broader area beyond just under the lamppost, and AI enables us to help the user broaden their thinking about what they're searching for. So that's just search. But if you think of that for a moment, that then widens the net where you're looking for. Now you're going to catch all sorts of random things that may not be interesting. AI for data tells us we're going to maximize the information we have in the data. What I mean by that is information is a very concrete measure of how valuable the data is. I can have lots of data points, but if they're all repetitive, it doesn't really help anybody. If they're all noise, it doesn't really help anybody. the AI maximizes the quality of the data. And then when you broaden that net, you take a broad net on quality data, you're going to find something valuable. So AI is being used on both sides of the fence to enable us to help the user think broader and then help the user find things that are more valuable. There's a third type of AI going on at Lusha. And that is, if you think about Lusha's user base, when we go beyond just a particular use case, so yes, we have recruiters that use our data. Yes, we have people using it for go-to-market strategies. Yes, there are all these different people going out there. But how can we learn from the entire social network? If you think about the power of social networks and communities and collective thinking, all of a sudden we can think about recommendation engines. I want to see a movie because my friend saw that movie. I want to find a certain go-to-market strategy or decision maker, or I want to find a different type of company or an industry that I should be looking at because my friend was doing the same thing. So AI at Lusha means multiple things. It means enabling data to be valuable, enabling the users to interact with that data, and enabling Lusha to help you find things that are relevant for you.